to this day, I don't have my town hall unlocked because I can't catch a tuna. I can't do it. I can't do it. I've tried for years. Like I've literally tried for years.
I love if you take like a macro perspective of this, like imagine going into a town like, oh, your town center is closed. What's going on? Like this girl over here just can't catch a tuna. All she needs is a tuna, and we could open this town center.
It's what makes it worse is I literally have a routine of like where I check the traveling cart every single day, just praying that a tuna will be there, and I still haven't got one.
Have you tried looking up what season you can catch tuna in?
Well, yeah, I know it's summer and winter, but I just suck at it. I can't catch anything. It's so bad. So I've been trying the traveling cart every day, and then I check the trash cans every day and hope that someone threw one in the trash.
Hey guys, I'm Bill, a one-time Instagram blogger and now a podcaster.
And I'm Alex, the chaotic neutral.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast.
A brother-sister duo
that talks about gaming.
And also anime.
And don't forget the collecting, sometimes.
Ah, forget it. We're just a nostalgia podcast at this point.
But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, this is where I'd normally say, how you been? But we actually have a guest this time, and I'd like them to introduce themselves.
That was a hell of an introduction right there. Hi, everyone. I don't know what I was expecting. I thought I was like, I thought you were gonna keep going, and then I just kind of completely flubbed the intro. Hi, hello. My name's Josh. And I'm the host of the Still Loading podcast. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Thanks for being here.
So, as I normally say, how you been?
Who, me?
Oh, just everybody.
The world.
Who, me? I'm doing pretty well. I said a little bit off mic. My kiddo's been sick, and then I'm gonna tell a much kinder version of the story I told you guys. But let's just say she's feeling a little bit better after a couple diaper changes. So we'll just leave it at that.
The poor thing. But
Yeah,
glad she's feeling better.
Same.
Thank God.
So yeah, other than that, I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah, me and Alex have been having a hell of a week just because.
I really thought you were about to say me and Alex have been having diaper issues too. And I went, what? I was about to be like, what? Excuse me? This is news to me.
No. At least I can't speak for Bill.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Myself, no.
Oh man.
What an intro.
We are starting off with poop jokes immediately.
I mean, this is the same podcast where Alex just pulls out random cans of beans randomly and like, so.
What are you, Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption?
I guess so.
I was just listening to a mutual friend of ours, Tales from the Backlog. They just released their Red Dead episode recently, and they had a joke in it just talking about how like Arthur is like the worst litter bug. He just downs cans of beans and just throws them into the environment, leaving trail of cigarette. I actually, when I was listening, I'm like, how funny of a playthrough would it be? You know, there's like different speed runs or like people who take statistics of games. How funny would it be to have someone take a statistic, like keep track through their playthrough of every piece of trash that Arthur gets rid of, every cigarette butt he tosses to the side, every can that he crushes and throws onto the ground. Like, how much waste is this one man putting into the world?
It's probably a lot.
Yeah.
But so I guess back on topic a little. Last weekend I actually went on vacation for like the first time in forever. I went up to Virginia for a couple days to go see NASCAR race, and you know how like you could ever plan out a trip and like everything you think is perfectly planned, and then just everything kind of goes wrong as it goes on, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like nothing that you guys can, nothing in your control. It's just like one of those things where it's like every time you think it's finally like, all right, we're on the right course, and then it's just like, nope. Like we got down there and like our the flight so everything, the start was fine, like we got on the planes, got down there, then we get to the car rental, and surprise, they don't have a car for us, but they
Oh,
have a
jeez.
rental agreement, so like we had to wait like 40 minutes to get a car. uh then we go to the hotel, and the hotel that we had booked was an utter like disaster, so we were like not staying there, and had to go find a place up the street. And then the first night, like thunderstorm happened, we had to like book it out of the track to get back to the room.
Dear Lord.
It was like one of those things. But I mean, other than that, the weekend was pretty good after that. Like I get to go see all the races, we had to explore Virginia a little bit. I actually did some retro game hunting while I was there too. I found 2 retro game stores in the area,
Oh,
which was pretty fun. Bought a couple Saturn games and some Vita games, so that's always fun to find.
mm,
And
If you
then, oh,
I was just
yes.
gonna say, if you're ever in Pennsylvania, you'll have to let me know. I can show you all the good retro game stores near me.
Oh, totally.
yeah.
But I was gonna say though, and then of course when we're going back, our flights got delayed, which completely screwed our entire like travel plans, because we had to go from, because it was like in like the middle of like nowhere, Virginia. Like we had to go from like this tiny airport to like another airport, and our flight
Mm.
got delayed, which would have completely made us miss our second flight, which completely like screwed up everything. We had to like last minute book flights to like get on a different airport to get there, and it was like a very stressful period of time. Like I thought we were gonna like, I thought it was gonna be, I was gonna be stranded in Virginia for a couple more days,
Oh,
but thankfully we made it back, and
you did.
boy, that was an adventure.
Travel lately has just been a nightmare, just because I mean, I traveled to Idaho earlier this year, and thankfully my flight only got delayed once. But my dad, he was traveling as well on a separate flight because we were traveling in different times. But he had like ended up with like a 5 hour layover or something like that. It
Ooh.
was supposed to be
Mm,
like 10, like just a quick 20 minute to an hour. Just enough time to go from one flight to his connecting flight,
mm.
and it ended up being like a 5 or 6 hour layover. And he didn't get home till like 4 in the morning.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's rough.
It's awful, man. Air travel's been such a pain.
Yeah, like it sucks because like you can never get like a direct flight anymore, and the planes are always overbooked or delayed.
mm.
Thankfully, like it's not as crazy anymore going through airports. I mean, TSA is still a pain, but that's always going to be a pain.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. I tell people, if you fly a lot, definitely get that TSA pre-check.
Mm,
I did it when I was at my first job where I was going to be traveling a lot, and it was the best thing to just walk by everyone and be like, I don't have to take my shoes off.
I
I'm going
really
straight
hope
through.
I
Um,
really hope you actually did that. Just laughed in their faces, took your shoes off anyway just to walk through pre-check. Be like, I don't even have to do this.
so
it
I will.
like it's totally worth it. The only thing is you have to like do an interview with like at the airport with some random like TSA person, and it's like it feels really weird and like uncomfortable, but it's fine. I got mine, so it was fine.
Mm. What's funny is because we couldn't go to our regular airport because of the delay, we ended up switching over to like the main airport in North Carolina, which was Raleigh. And in Raleigh, North Carolina, rather than having to take your shoes off and do all that stuff, they actually dog search you, which was different.
Whoa.
Hmm.
Like we had to like
Okay.
get on these lines, and it was like they were like, okay, everyone line up here. Like, do not move from your spot on the line and just walk forward. And you like literally like you just walk down, the dogs literally will just like pace back and forth by you like 3 times. And if you're clear, they're like, okay, all set. And it was like that was strange, but it actually was more efficient than coming out of Boston, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, well, I feel like they're doing a bunch of different things because when I flew out of Connecticut to Texas for work, a while back. I think like in July, they actually had like these new lanes where you didn't have to take your shoes off, and it was like I don't know what was different about it, but like it was some sort of different like X-ray scanner or body scanner. I don't
Hmm.
know, whatever it was, but you didn't have to take your shoes off. And unfortunately, I didn't get in that lane, so I was pretty butthurt. But it
See,
was happening.
see, my favorite thing though was like I still had to obviously go through like the bag like X-ray thing, and as I'm going through the bag X-ray, like one of my bags, because this is after like the race and the weekend and everything, the bag is full of die-cast cars, video game like retro video games, and an anime figure I picked up for Alex. And I
Yeah.
looked over at the lady doing the bag check, like looking at the screen. The look on her face was priceless. Like she had this look on her face, like, what the fuck is this guy taking with him?
What's this boy into?
And I was like sitting there going, like, please don't send it down the check line, please. And she sent it right through, and I was like, thank God. But she had that look on her face, like, what the
What?
fuck did I just
That's
look
really
at?
funny.
Yeah, traveling, it's great.
It
It's a
is.
good time.
But speaking of traveling, it has nothing to do with it, but our topic for today's episode.
What?
You travel by foot a lot in the game.
So
Yeah.
I just tried to do a I
By
just did a
minecart.
I just did a Superpod Saga like transition there. If anyone knows those guys,
Well, the as you know, Bill, the golden rule of transitions is just to call out that you're doing a transition, and
mhm,
then therefore it is no longer a bad transition.
yes. Yes. Shout out to Aaron and Tommy, by the way. They have a great podcast. But yeah, so our topic for today's episode is Stardew Valley, Alex's like self-proclaimed favorite game.
Yeah, I definitely say it's my favorite game. It's the game I spend the most hours in.
It's wonderful.
Mm.
It's so pleasant.
So a lot of people know our show is pretty open. Like we don't really have a format, so we're kind of gonna just wing it here. I love having a guest
Hell
because
yeah.
we can like
We
me.
wing it.
So this is a game. So usually it's funny. This is actually the opposite of our usual episodes. Usually I am the heavily dominant like voice in the show because I just know everything. But this is a game
Not
where Alex.
today.
Yeah.
Shut up, Bill.
This
Exactly.
is my show now.
But I guess to start though, I guess I wanted to just give a little bit of backstory behind Stardew Valley. So
So
Stardew
you can
Valley,
actually talk in this episode.
yes, and that's why I'm starting off with this. So Stardew Valley is a simulation role-playing video game developed in 2016, and it was developed single-handedly by Eric Barone, also known as Concerned Ape, which is his quote-unquote development studio name. And the game is, in a lot of ways, a spiritual successor slash inspiration of the Harvest Moon slash Story of Seasons franchise,
Hmm.
which, for those who don't know, Story of Seasons slash Harvest Moon is essentially Farmville on steroids, where it is essentially a massive RPG esque game where you essentially build a farm and explore the world, meet like other characters, and basically simulate life but while farming. It is an odd topic that is a surprisingly popular subgenre in gaming.
They're kind of like the slow life simulator. As there was an episode of Retronauts years ago that did a whole episode on slow life sim games, and this is kind of in that same vein. It's kind of in the Animal Crossing, like you mentioned. The Animal Crossing didn't really influence this game, but they're all kind of in that similar style of just time passes, you grow crops, you interact with village folk, townspeople, and depending on what the game allows you to do, you can build relationships with them and all that other stuff. So yeah, this game was kind of in that. I mean, simulation is probably the closest thing. But what I loved about Stardew Valley, and I then I'll throw it back to you. I don't know if you have any more things to add, Bill, is that it's a role playing game as well. There's a lot of role
Mm.
playing options because you can level up your different farming abilities, but that's not the only role playing thing. It's not just like, here I'm level 50 in hoeing or or something like. I
Fair
had
enough.
to say that.
Great term.
Um, or mining, or it should just be plant or farming or something like that. But it's also, you have, there are weapons because you can go into mines and fight monsters and stuff like that. So there's actually some more classic RPG elements of like leveling up your health and leveling up your attack, usually mostly by like your strength and also by whatever weapon you have. So it's kind of light on those RPG elements, but it does have some pretty fun RPG elements to add to it.
Mm. So honestly, like the best way to kind of describe this game is this game really kind of combines a lot of different like concepts from a lot of popular games of this style at the time. Like obviously Harvest Moon is probably the biggest influence on this game, but it also takes a lot of influence from other games like Rune Factory, along with Minecraft in a sense, and Terraria, especially in terms of the visual
Hmm.
style.
Mhm.
And what I really find fascinating is this game was, as I said earlier, single-handedly developed by one guy, Eric
Mm.
Barone, or I think it's Barone,
I think
Baron.
it's Barone. I don't think it's Baron because the E would be completely useless in there.
Mhm.
Then I think
Yeah,
it's Barone.
yeah.
But
It was,
English is a dumb language too, so who knows?
yeah,
Agreed.
it's very confusing. So this game originally released on PC in 2016, followed shortly by a console release in later that year, and then the Switch also got a release the following year. And it also released on Android, iOS, and the Vita, which I didn't even realize it was on the Vita
I didn't know
until
it was on the Vita. Wow.
the Vita.
Oh.
The Vita got fucking everything, and like nobody knows that it got most things. Like browsing the Vita store is amazing because you're like, that's on the Vita.
Why?
Why
Because
not? The Vita was awesome.
the Vita is the
True.
greatest failed handheld ever made. And
Meh.
I will stand by that.
I'm with you, and it's heartbreaking because I feel like it failed only because Sony was like, "No, we're not going to support it."
Yeah, so Sony saw the 3DS's like immediate success and just gave up. They were just like, "Yeah, all right." Um, but but yeah. So going back to Stardew Valley, another fun thing is the creator of Story of Seasons, which is the official name for Harvest Moon. Don't be confused with the current Harvest Moon series. That is actually a different series that is just using the name. Uh,
Yep.
the original Harvest Moon is now known as Story of Seasons. So just I might flip flop between them, but when I'm saying Harvest Moon, I mean Story of Seasons. I'll just clarifying that. The creator of that series, Yoshiro Wada, he actually praised the game for retaining the freedom of like his series that like the later entries really lost, in his opinion, which I think is like probably the highest praise of all time, considering this game was literally designed as a love letter to that franchise.
Mm.
Hmm. What I also think is impressive about this game, you mentioned before, it was developed by one guy, and Eric Barone, he even talks about, and I've read online that he gives a lot of credit to, I don't know if it's his wife or girlfriend or whatever, or fiance, I'm not quite sure, but when he was developing it, he uh he was able to completely live off of her, and like she supported him during that time in order for him to pursue his dream of making this game. And obviously it worked out, but like
Mm,
it makes me happy to see that he gave her so much credit, because he would not have been able to do this all on his own without her support, because he couldn't have lived otherwise.
Mm.
no, totally. So I guess now that we've gotten kind of its early history out of the way, I'd kind of like to ask where you guys first discovered this game. Because I'll get mine right out of the way real quick. It's not that interesting. I saw it on the internet because some guy was playing it on YouTube. It looked interesting, and I bought it. That was really about it. Um, so I guess I'll start with Josh because you're the guest. How did you first discover Stardew Valley?
It's actually kind of weird because a friend of mine, TJ Hodder from the Hodder Show, it's another podcast. He actually does my end of the year retrospectives on my show. He he had his own gaming podcast for a short while called Two Guys in a Game.
Mm.
And it was a short-lived show. I think there's 50 episodes. You can actually listen to all they still have all 50 up, but it was just it I if you like chaotic energy in your podcasts, that's the
Mhm.
show for you, because it was him and his buddy Cazador Jones. I don't know. That's not his real name. I forget what his friend's real name is, but his online handle was Kaz. And 90% of the show was just TJ desperately trying to keep Kaz on the rails, just trying to keep the show going in some semblance of a direction.
That
And
sounds very familiar.
Hey, what are you trying to say?
Nothing.
And there was an
Rude!
episode there was an episode where they talk about Stardew Valley, and Kaz was talking about his playthrough and the way, if I'm remembering this correctly, it's been quite some time. I'm pretty sure he was the reason that I even got it, because um I he was describing all the chaotic relationships you can get into with all the different village people, and it was just his description of it. I can't even remember what he said, but it captured my imagination of like, what is this game? It's not just a farming sim. It was this whole like semi life simulator where you could get married and all this other things. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out. And I tried it out, and I really fell in love with the game. And that's how I first discovered it. But what kind of solidified my love for it was I was playing it while my wife and I were planning our wedding. And when that happened, my wife, who does not like, Bill, I know you listen to my show a decent amount. You know, my wife does not like video games. She's not
Mhm.
into gaming. She's not into geek culture. She's not into any of this. Um, and so when I started playing Stardew Valley, and she's like, "Oh, that seems interesting. I'll try that out." She got sucked into it, and so her and I, that was how we would just watch each other play, and we would just take turns playing the game, and it was our way of decompressing during one of the most stressful periods of our life before having a kid, which was just planning our wedding. And I will remember that forever. I actually did a full episode on my show of Stardew Valley with her, because A, it's one of the only games she could really talk too much about, and B, it really meant a lot to me at that time, that this game was just there for her and I when we were just going through such a stressful moment. So that's how I kind of came to Stardew Valley and how I fell in love with it.
Not
That's so
totally.
sweet.
No, I
Aw.
actually highly recommend that episode because it is really it's one of the most heartwarming episodes I think you've ever done.
Aw.
Oh, thanks,
Honestly,
man.
no, that's one of like my favorite ones I think you've done out of like since I discovered you like back in 2019. I want to say
Whenever I don't even remember anymore.
when you followed my blog on Instagram. That's what basically how I
I think I followed you because you did that guest spot on Cades, and then I was like, oh, I like this guy, and then I followed you.
yeah the early days.
Mhm.
So Alex, now I vaguely remember because I remember it involved a Walmart, but how did you discover Stardew Valley?
Walmart. Wow.
Or was it a Target? Maybe it was
I
more
think it was a
high
Target.
class. Maybe it was more high
So
class.
a little less trash. But actually, so Stardew Valley was the first game that I bought for myself on the Switch. Um, because when I got my Switch, it came, well, like I had gotten it for Christmas, and the games that it came with were, I believe it was Mario Odyssey, and then
Crashed Insane Trilogy.
yeah, Crash Insane Trilogy. And those were my first two games. And I played Mario Odyssey and I really enjoyed it, but I was like, honestly, I got the Switch because my plan was I wanted the Switch because I knew Animal Crossing was coming and I wanted to play Animal Crossing, but I had to wait. So, but I still really wanted a Switch because it looked really cool. Um, but I wanted kind of a game to hold me over, and I just remember like going to a Target and being like, I really want a different game because I don't want to just play Mario or Crash Bandicoot. Um,
And I
so
remember because that was like so you were in college at the time, I
yeah,
believe, and
I,
you
I,
were at home visiting.
I think it was my junior or no, I can't remember.
I think so. You got the Switch. So I got the Switch the year it came out, which was 2017. And you got it the following year, which was 2018.
Okay, so I was a senior. Oh wait, yeah, because if it was Christmas time, yeah, I was a senior in college.
hmm And you were visiting home for the weekend. I
It
remember
was
we
for
were.
Christmas.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
And I remember this because I was still working night shift at the time. I was in my final year of night shift, so one of like the rare times we got to hang out at that point, we decided to do what normal siblings do and just go to the mall. And
yeah,
the mall was connected, had a Target connected to it. And I remember we were kind of just browsing through the video game aisle because that's what we normally do.
yep,
And I remember you were you didn't know what to get because you wanted another game for your Switch. And you were
yeah,
just kind of looking at the games. And keep in mind, the Switch did not have a physical version of Stardew Valley at this point, it was digital
yeah,
only.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember because you were kind of looking and you were like, I don't see any games here I'm really interested in. And I kind of pointed up, I'm like, these cards are all games too. They're just digital.
mm.
And Alex really didn't understand the concept of digital gaming yet.
Well, because give me credit. Like, you are my brother, and have you seen your collection?
hmm
So in my mind, like, that's what I think of when I think of video games. I also like
Fair.
really I got more into video games my when I got the Switch, honestly, is when I got super more into games as because I was able to play them more with the Switch. So but yeah, so it was one of the we were looking and I was trying to find something and then I was like, "Oh, okay, so this card is a game. Cool." So I think you either pointed out Stardew Valley like, "Hey, you might like this," or
Well, you actually had picked up um you were looking at something else. No. What happened? Actually, I remember this. You were looking at the 3DS games just because you
yeah.
were kind of trying to see if you could see some inspiration over there, and you had actually seen one of the quote unquote Harvest Moon games. That's not actually a Harvest Moon game, and you were like, "Oh, maybe a Harvest Moon style game." And I immediately was like, "Yeah, those aren't actually Harvest Moon." And I kind of pointed you back over to the Switch, and I was like, "Stardew Valley is actually kind of like Harvest Moon. You might like that." And
Yeah.
she just immediately was like, "Okay," and grabbed it, and the rest was history from there.
Yeah, I think I played it for every day when I was home for the holidays, I played it every single day. And even in college, I was playing it like if I had downtime, I was playing Stardew Valley. I'd bring it like it was actually nice cuz one of the things it helped me with was my senior year was really tough because
Mm-hmm.
I had studied abroad, and with how my university went, rather than semesters we did terms, and some classes were only in one term of the year. And of course, like one of the hardest classes I had to take, which most people said take in your junior year, was the term that I was studying abroad. So I had to do that my senior year. So I was really struggling, and honestly, I like wasn't doing. I was never leaving. I was basically in the library 24/7 studying, because I had to pass. Um, and whenever I just needed a break, I'd just pull my Switch out and just start playing Stardew Valley. Um, and I played it all the time. I love it. It's like my comfort game. Whenever I just kind of need to relax and just do something pretty mindless, that's what I pull out. I pull out Stardew Valley.
So,
Um,
just for context, we had previously done a farming games like centric episode back in
Mm-hmm.
season 2, I want to say.
yeah,
And when we finished that episode off with like a brief little mention. Like we basically talked about Stardew Valley for the last 10 minutes.
yeah,
And the funniest part about that episode was the episode ended, and Alex basically was like, "I'm gonna go play Stardew Valley now." She literally went on a 5-hour binge. Like it was.
yeah.
We finished recording that episode around like 5 in the afternoon, and like the next like literally like 10, like 5 hours later, it was 10, and she's like, "It's 10 o'clock. Oh shit!" Like I'm like, "You've been playing Stardew Valley this whole time."
Yeah. I mean, like, it's
Worth
just
it.
it's my comfort game, and like honestly, like I just kind of I don't really play it in mind of like beating a game or something or unlocking everything. I kind of just more play it like just just for fun because like I play it majority on the Switch. I don't really play much on the PC. Like I kind of like having the Switch because I can like kind of do something
I play on
at
the
the same.
PS4.
Okay. But I suck at the fishing game. I can't figure out how to do it. Like I
Tap it.
can't.
You tap the
I
button. So
I
what
I
you
try.
just have to, you want to kind of tap in the, like, if it rises faster you tap more quickly. That's how I like, because you can press and hold it as well, and that
Yeah.
so for listeners who have not played the fishing mini game in Stardew Valley, the way it works is that a little bar appears on the screen and there's a fish on the bar and it moves up and down, and
Mhm.
there is a and within that bar there's like almost like a little bracket, if or like another, like a little like rectangle inside that bar, and you
Mhm.
have the objective of it is that you have to keep the fish inside of that rectangle. So in order, the way it works is that you hit I don't know what button it is for the Switch. I believe it's X on the
Why
PS1
on
or
the yeah.
PS4. What am I thinking? But on the PS4, and like you, maybe it's square, I don't even remember anymore. I just played it last night and I can't even freaking remember. um but you hit the button, and the longer you hold it, the faster that bar that you control rises up. But you don't necessarily want to do that because you have to follow where the fish goes.
Yes.
So that's why I was saying, if you tap it, you can do like little incremental boosts of moving it up, or also if you want to, if you tap it less frequently, it'll slowly go back down. So like that's how I always did. I was actually always really good at the fishing mini game. My wife was awful at it. She finally has gotten better at it, but for the longest time, it was very. It took her a long time to really figure it out and figure out what to do with it.
I'm terrible at it. I still can't figure it out, and I've been playing it since 2018. I still like to this day I don't have my town hall unlocked because I can't catch a tuna. I can't do it. I can't do it. I've tried for years. Like I've
I just
literally tried for
I
years.
I love like the like if you take like a macro perspective of this, like imagine going into a town like, oh, your town center's closed. What's going on? Like this girl over here just can't catch a tuna. All she needs is a tuna, and we could open this town center.
It's what makes it worse is I literally have a routine of like where I check the traveling cart every single day, just praying that a tuna will be there, and I still haven't got one.
Have you
And then,
tried looking up what season you can catch tuna in?
well, yeah, I know it's summer and winter, but I just suck at it. I can't catch anything. It's so bad. So I've been
the f-
trying
the
the traveling cart every day, and then I check the trash cans every day and hope that someone threw one in the trash.
the best part about this is any other game like this that has a fishing mini game, Alex like will like cringe and be like, "Ugh, fishing," whenever
No,
she sees it.
Animal Crossing, I got it. Story of Seasons, I'm great at it. Stardew Valley, I can't figure it out.
What about Jack and Daxter? Are you good at that fishing mini game?
I
I don't think
haven't
she's never
I
played Jack and
haven't
Daxter.
tried it, but I
It's
could. I'd
it's not
probably be
really.
better than Stardew.
In all honesty, the fishing minigame in Jack and Daxter is infuriating. You literally just have, there's a bunch of fish that swim down a creek and you have to catch them in your net, and literally it's just like you just move the net left and right. So you have to, if there's a fish on the far left, you move the net over to the far left. If there's a fish on the far right, you move your net over to the far right. And then you have to I remember the fisherman even has this weird line. It's like, there are two types of fish in this river: 1 pound fishies and 5 pound fishies. And
The best part is too, he criticizes you if whenever you screw up.
yeah.
But then, actually, my favorite part of off topic for a second, my favorite part of that minigame is once you beat it, he just laughs maniacally nonstop
For the rest of the game.
Oh my
Yeah,
Anytime you
god.
go back to that area, he's still standing on that goddamn bridge, laughing maniacally for the rest of his fucking life. It is the strangest. This man, I don't know if does he have a wife to go back home to, because she hasn't seen him for 20 years. He's still laughing on that bridge in my save file.
well, yeah. Well, the funny just to wrap things up, my favorite thing though about Jack and Daxter, that game is so fucking amazingly programmed. Like, there's no load times in that game. It is
Yeah,
great.
it's wonderful.
Just had to point that out because anytime someone brings up Jack and Dexter, I have to be like, play that game. It has no load times. How did they do it? I don't know.
There's a this will be the last quick thing we can get back onto Stardew Valley. There's a whole behind the scenes thing that Naughty Dog made with, I think the company that ported it to the PS3 was Mass Media, or if
Mhm.
it was, I forget, I think it was Mass Media was the
Yep.
developer. And they talk about how, like, when they were trying to figure out how Naughty Dog programmed it, they were like, we don't know. They were sending code over to the PS1 processor, which you're not technically supposed to do, but for some reason they did it, and it helped extra, like, offload some of the, like, they were just sending data all over the goddamn place in order
Mhm.
to get the game to run the way it did. It's a really technically impressive game for the system. But yeah, Stardew Valley. I don't know, where do you guys want to go from
So
here? I
I
can go into some of my favorite elements of it.
I guess like I actually want to save that for a little bit for after, but
Mm.
the next thing I want to talk about, I guess I'd have Alex do this because she's the master as far as I'm concerned.
The-
How would you best describe like what is like the plot? Well, not really plot, but like what is the overall like what do you do in Stardew Valley, Alex?
Well, it's
It's up
the
to the player.
That is true.
yeah, it's up to you, but I guess the basis is that like you just inherited a farm from like you're working
You're
in a office and you hate your life and you inherit your grandfather's farm and you basically
Thanks,
come in
Grandpa.
and it's like a really shitty farm. Well,
Yeah.
it's just it's not a well maintained farm anymore, so you have to bring the farm back to life.
Mhm.
Um, and when you start the game, you can kind of choose what path you want to go, which will set up how your farm looks. I was dumb and I chose the stupid fishing one, even though I suck at fishing, so I have a fishing setup farm. I should have picked the mining one because mining is my favorite part of the game. So that kind of sets up how your farm goes. And then basically you just kind of live your life and you get the farm back together. And you can unlock things within your farm. Like there's certain
Mhm.
areas you can get different buildings. You'll
Get a
get
greenhouse, get a
yep.
mushroom cave.
Oh, I was dumb and I got the fruit cave. I made all the stupid decisions when I first played it because I was like, I like fruit more than mushrooms, not knowing that you get more money from the mushrooms.
And you can grow fruit on trees.
I know I made bad decisions.
Uh.
I just started a new game recently, but I'm like attached to that first one because I'm like I
Mhm.
just need the freaking tuna. And
This goddamn tuna. I will,
it
if I
kills
ever come up to visit your guys' area, I'm just gonna bring a can of
Oh my
tuna.
god, no! I thought you were gonna say you would just catch the tuna for me. I don't want a can of tuna.
That's honestly funnier. Here you go, Alex.
I'll have a can of beans for you, so it'll be a fair trade. Yeah. But there really isn't much. It's like not really much of a story because you kind of just make your own story.
Mm,
I guess like one of the other underlying plots is that there's the JoJo Corporation and they came to town and they want to take the community center and like turn it into like isn't it like a soda factory or something? Or they want to make it into something not great,
corporate.
not the community center.
They just want to, they basically want to get rid of the small businesses so that way they can take over and just kind of do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
They're pretty much, like, down with the local market, up with, corporate grocery stores. It's a little bit of a commentary on just how big business comes in and can ruin a small town,
Yeah.
depending on how it's run. And this one, there's a, who's the dude that runs it? I'm blanking on his name.
It's the mayor. The mayor.
No, it's not. No, I don't think it's the mayor. It's I forget the dude's name. That's gonna piss me off. He looks
Uh.
shady as hell, though.
Oh, Morris. Is it?
Maybe
Does he have black hair with like
he does
glasses
have black hair.
and a red bow tie?
I'm gonna look. Let's go to the
Because I'm
Stardew
looking at
Valley
the
wiki.
I'm on the wiki right
No,
now.
you're right. It is Morris. It's managed by Morris,
Yes.
who honestly, some of his expressions kind of look like something straight out of uh like a Phoenix Wright game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do get that.
But
Uh,
yeah, no, the like Alex said, there's really not much of a story. Pretty much, you inherit this farm from your grandfather. If you can actually get your farm to a specific level by, I think, the end of year 4, like you have to do a certain number of things, like talk to a certain number of town people,
Mhm.
um, grow a certain number of crops, reach a certain level of the mines, stuff like that, then you can get some really cool stuff. Like he basically grades you at the end of the 4 year. He judges you
Mm.
harshly. But he gives you some really cool stuff. I'm gonna try to look up what it was. I am completely blanking. Oh yeah, here we go. Grandpa's evaluation. So grandpa, I'm gonna read this
Ghost
directly from the
Grandpa.
wiki.
Ghost
Grandpa's
Grandpa.
evaluation is directly related to the number of candles that light up around Grandpa's shrine, and there are 4 candles at the beginning of year 3. Okay, so I was off by the beginning of year 3. It is determined by a point system based on various milestones that were reached within the first 2 years, and there are a total of 21 points available. The player can be reevaluated anytime by placing a diamond into Grandpa's shrine. Grandpa will show up on the
Ah.
following day after a game load or the first day of the following season in some cases. This means the opportunity to obtain all 4 candles is extended beyond your initial 2 year evaluation. So, for some of the ways you can get different points, if you earn a cumulative amount of 1 million gold, you'll get 2 points. But you that all adds up together. So when you first earn 50,000 total, you get 1 point. When you're in 100,000, you get another point, and they stack on top of each other. So let's say you earn up to 100, or not 100, sorry, just 1 million, you'll get a total of 7 points because of how the everything else stacks. Um, you get another point if you have at least 30 levels and skills. You get another one if you have at least 50 levels in different skills. I'm not going to read all of them, but you can get different points for different ways. Um, and then there is the results. If a player who attains a score of 12 or higher is awarded with the Statue of Perfection, which produces 2 to 8 iridium ore per day. And I know this is all like really technical for people who might not have played the game, but we mentioned before how you can go mining and you can pick up like gold and iron and all this other stuff. Well, iridium is this world's like fictitious, like super
Mhm.
rare precious metal, and I think iridium's fictitious. I should say, it sounds fictitious, but iridium is the best type of metal you can get, and it's very hard to get iridium ore. Like you have to go pretty far into the mines, and even then it's not always guaranteed you're going to get it at any type
Mhm.
of easily available pace, as well as fighting off monsters. So if you get this Statue of Perfection, that's really handy, because then you don't have to do a damn thing. You just get 2 to 8 iridium ore, and there you go.
Mm.
So yeah, it so you do get a benefit of that. But back to what I was saying about the kind of overall story. You get the farm. There's, as I mentioned before, there's that grading system. You can get the Statue of Perfection, but then there's also an element of social, like relationships that you can
Yes.
romance your villagers, and they
Yes.
are not
You can get
discriminatory.
married,
You
and
can
then
get
you can
married.
also cheat on your spouse and divorce them.
yep. Uh,
There's also
Uh,
days when you can, or not days, sorry. You can actually end up having kids with
yes.
your spouse.
You're
And one,
useless children that do nothing, and they
do
never
they ever?
age.
They never age. They just stay that age the whole
It just
time.
stay yeah, I'm pretty certain they don't age. I mean, like, I've had mine for 4 years, and I mean, since 2019, and they still haven't aged, so
so you can't do like The Sims 2 and just like populate an entire like city with all of your children.
no. I think you can
They're
only
all
have
Steve.
2. Can you only have 2? I think you can
I don't
I'm
even know.
Just
limited to
just
2.
just for context, like back in The Sims, like you could literally just reproduce infinitely, and like literally you could
Jesus.
populate entire maps with just your offspring. Uh, it, the internet, the games are funny, guys.
You can also one of my favorite things is when you do get married, your significant other will periodically just water all your crops for you. And
Yes.
so you get up in the morning, you're like, hell yeah, I don't have to water these crops. And then you can either just plant or pick or plant new ones depending
Mhm.
on what's going on, and then you can obviously sell them, and then you can go do whatever you want, whether it's
Yeah.
harvesting in the mine or Alex can practice her fishing.
Ugh. See,
So
I've effectively made my husband useless though because I have sprinklers everywhere that just do all the watering for me. So,
I know, right?
so, and I picked the worst husband. I don't know why I picked the doctor. I
Who
was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna marry the doctor."
you don't want to marry? You didn't like Harvey?
I, I was really tempted to cheat on him with Sam. I was very tempted, or
Is Sam the
Shane the
blonde
drunk.
boy?
Yeah, or Shane the drunk guy.
Well, you can make Shane a happy boy if you give him enough hot peppers.
Oh, I
That's
just
his
keep
favorite
giving him
gift.
beer.
Wait,
you're just an
wait,
enabler.
wait. Yeah. So the kid who has depression and is struggling with a drinking problem, you just keep giving him beer.
Yep. Alex is the chaotic neutral after all.
My
I never
I
said I play the game right. I just play it how I want to play
that doesn't paint you in a better light. I'm not saying I play it right. I just play it how I want to play it.
it. Well,
Okay.
he's always at the bar, so I just give him the beer.
This
Oh
poor
no.
man's just crying out for help. Meanwhile, you know what? I shouldn't say that. I give him a shitload of just hot peppers. That's his like favorite thing.
All right, I'll
So
give him a hot pepper. I just planted some in my game, so I'll give him to him.
if you want to romance Shane, that's what you can do. So I ended up marrying Leah, who's like the artiste.
Mm,
She's the artist that lives in the cabin underneath. I think Marnie is the person who owns all the like the farm with the wildlife. Sorry, the livestock.
yes.
Um, she
I
lives
wish
in the
I could
cab,
marry Pam,
right? That trucker lady.
the
Hell yeah.
bus
Mm.
driver, or the wizard,
The wizard. Well,
or
Pam.
Gus.
The wait, no, Gus isn't the bartender. He's the blacksmith.
No, he is the
Is he?
he is the bartender.
Who's the
He has
blacksmith?
that's that's Clint.
Clint. Okay. I was going to say Bert, but it's not Bert. Yeah. Okay. So Clint, that makes more sense. But yeah. So, sorry, we've gotten into the weeds a little bit with this. But yes, that's kind of like the objective of the game. You can, once you kind of like if you want to consider it quote unquote beating it, it's getting to the end of the evaluation for Grandpa's Shrine. That's
Mhm.
for all intents and purposes beating it. I think even credits play. I don't remember though. Once you get to
Hmm.
the shrine thing, but what I always loved about it, like what I would always do is just to see how big I can grow my farm, how deep into the mines I can get. How there's also like a witch that you can find, which I could never really, I always
Yeah.
forget how to get to her. Um,
It's in the back, so I can't unlock it yet because I think you have to have the. I think you have to have the what's it called,
Town
uh
hall there.
the town. Yeah, you have to town hall locked, but I believe
That
it's like
goddamn tuna.
by the yes the stupid
it all
tuna.
comes back to tuna.
It does. By the the bathhouse. If you go back there past the train station, then there's like this obelisk with like legs on it, and then that's how you get to the witch's place. I'm pretty certain. Because like I can't get there because I'm so because of that goddamn tuna that like I have to live through other people.
Now I just want to send you like pictures of who Andy Bernard, doesn't he call himself Big Tuna from The Office?
Ah,
I've never.
no.
I was a Friends guy, so I never saw The Office. Um.
Who does he did no, he's not. He
Actually,
calls someone Big Tuna. I don't remember. I haven't
Uh,
seen The Office in years.
so before we move
oh,
on, do
you
you,
need
do
to
you,
complete the Dark Talisman quest in order to unlock the witch's swamp.
ah
Okay. I don't think
s-
I've ever that's one of the few areas I have not gotten to yet.
so before we move on, do you guys want to hear my embarrassing story of Stardew Valley?
Sure.
Sure.
So you guys know the deposit box outside of your house where you send all your crops and stuff for the to basically to get your money.
Mhm.
So guess who thought that was your storage box for like the first like 5 nights playing?
Oh
Oh
no.
no! You didn't notice like when it would say money, like it gave you money after each day.
I never questioned it. I was like, oh, cool.
These crops that I keep getting money for look really familiar.
You're-
On the
I was
drop
like,
down.
I was like, well, I'd go into the house and be like, where's all my stuff? I'll find it later. And I did this for like 4 days, and then I finally looked it up, and I was like, oh, well, I guess that sucks.
The worst part is a lot of that stuff you don't get. Like, I don't think you get money for rocks or wood. So
You
all of your
don't.
building material is just gone. You can't build any fences. You can't use the stone for like a furnace or anything like that. I
I hard restarted after that. I was like,
I don't blame you.
You're just like, damn it.
I always love though building out like your garden and like laying everything out and seeing how like I one of the first things I do is I lay out where I want all the trails to be, and then I kind of plot out like where I'm going to build the barn for all the livestock, where I'm going to build like a storage shed, where I'm going to put different crops. I also try to figure out a good rotation of like I would try to I think I like because you can upgrade your watering can so that way you can water more efficiently and it takes less energy. I guess that's something we forgot to talk about with the mechanics of the game. Like, how does this game actually let you farm? Like, how does the game turn farming into a game? And the way it kind of does that is that it does do a little bit of like a business type of thing, like a business simulation game where you buy seeds in order to plant them and grow them so that way you can sell them for money so you can buy more seeds and continue to plant them and grow them and eventually make enough profit to buy upgrades for your hoe, your I guess it's a shovel, but whatever. We're going to keep going
No,
with that.
I think they call it a hoe.
I think they call it
Certain
a
they
hoe.
do. I'm pretty certain.
I mean, first off, rude, but okay.
Ah.
No, no. Yeah, no, they call it a hoe.
Stupid tuna.
We'll just call it a tuna from now on.
Yes.
I'm gonna totally put a tuna in the thumbnail for this episode, by the way.
No, you won't.
Don't
you dare.
Though if we replace a hoe with a tuna, then you're saying I tuna it all over the yard, and that doesn't sound any better. We have spiraled out of control.
This is the point where our mother's gonna just click off the thing and go, "Oh my!"
What the fuck? No.
Or she's gonna.
Does she listen to this?
Our mom's our biggest fan.
I apologize to you and yours this holiday season. They were not a part of this. I put all of these shenanigans squarely on my shoulders.
She knows by now.
She's used to us.
She knows I'm the problem. It's fine. No.
Watch. You just wait. We're recording this in April. I don't know when this comes out. I'm assuming sometime later in April.
It comes out whenever you want.
Whenever. It doesn't matter.
Next month. So
next month. Okay.
No.
This is coming out in May or whenever. It's coming out soon. You're gonna see in like 8 months. It's gonna be December. You're gonna wake up on December 25th, Christmas morning. And you're gonna see all these lovely presents, and one of them is gonna be from your mother, who's listening to this episode right now. Hi, Mom. And it's gonna be a tuna.
No. No. That tuna freaking haunts me. You know what's gonna be the most funny thing is one day I'm just gonna be playing Stardew Valley and like Bill's gonna be upstairs and I'm just gonna scream from the top of my lungs once I find it. I'm not gonna catch it because I suck at fishing, but one day it's gonna appear in the little traveling cart and I am just going to jump for joy. I'm gonna be screaming hallelujah, but it hasn't happened yet. And I don't think it ever will.
It'll be just like the time when her Pokemon and Scarlet and Violet fell off the cliff.
I was playing a little bit before we recorded, and I was just like, "Come on, give me the tuna.
Come on, tuna.
Come on, tuna." And then the traveling cart didn't appear for like the first 3 days I was playing. I was like, "Are you kidding?"
Of course not. But no. So yeah, so you can upgrade all the way that, like I said, the way the game simulates farming, or the way it kind of gamifies farming. You can upgrade your different farming tools, whether it's a hoe, whether it's a pickaxe, whether it's a wood axe or something like that.
Watering
um,
can.
a watering can. And then you can there's tons of different types of produce you can buy. There's also a cooking element, which is kind of fun, because then you can like
Yes.
get different recipes and cook stuff. But the more you do it, the better you end. Like, there is like a little bit of a behind the scenes leveling up system. You don't see experience points per se go up, but every time, the more you farm, the more dig up land to plant seeds and water them, you have a general farming skill that goes up. And the more it goes up, the more efficient you become with it. Now, there is a limit to how much you can do in each day, not only because there's a time limit on each day, but also because there is an energy bar. So if you use up all your energy, you can you can do that if you want to, but you'll end up in Harvey's doctor's office, and you'll have to pay a fee for the doctor. So if you want to avoid that, you can only do so much within a certain day. Now, you can also, though, once you start planting enough, you can use that food that you plant to cook things up in order to eat it to replenish your energy. So you can make food to help you keep going. But until then, you're kind of limited by the time of day as well as by the amount of energy that you have.
Mhm.
Once the energy doesn't become as much of an issue, and you can just do whatever you want, whether it's farming, whether it is foraging and gathering, like chopping down trees to get wood, or going to the mine to get stone, or traveling down the mine to level up your combat skills and also find some of the more rarer items. Um, you can level all those skills up, and that's kind of how they gamify it. Like, there's a time of day you do have to worry about, where if you stay up too late, you will just pass out. I think it's like at 2 a.m.
It's like, yeah, I think 2 or 1 a.m.
Something like that. So you that's the first half, and the second half is your energy, which, like I said in the beginning, you can't really do much with. You're kind of limited by that. But as you start getting more produce and you start learning recipes on how to cook things, you can make food that you can carry with you into wherever you're going, whether it's the mine, whether it's for farming, whether it's for foraging, whatever it is. And then you can use that to replenish your energy and keep going. The only truly hard limit after a certain point in the game is just the time of day. You can't stay up past 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your character will literally pass out where they stand, and you lose some of the items in your inventory because they had to drag you out of the mines or wherever you were at, and they
Yeah.
take some of your money.
Yep.
So, another thing about this game that I absolutely adore is its art style and like graphics.
Mm.
So, this game uses this was during like the height of like the retro like throwback like 2D game revival. And this game in my opinion does it incredibly well. So it's not, a lot of people would say it's like 16-bit style, but to me it's more 32-bit in a lot of ways.
I
What
could
do-
see that.
what are your guys' thoughts on like the graphical style?
Do you want to go first, Alex?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I love the graphical style. I mean, I think it's like what you were saying. It kind of brings, it's part of that like retro revival era, but I think it's just so bright and colorful and just very pleasant. And I think they use everything to like the fullest capabilities. Like, I definitely feel like it's a very pleasing game to look at. I don't know. I love it. I think I love the art style. It's bright, colorful. It keeps you on. I play. So, I mean, I play it for multiple hours at a time, so I have to enjoy the scenery.
It's very Terraria-esque, I'd say.
Yeah, it is.
I would actually say it's a little better than Terraria.
Well,
You're
yes,
right, Bill. It's
yes.
not quite. So it's interesting. I would say it's got a 16-bit aesthetic, but I would say the actual visuals are, like, you're correct, are more like 32-bit. Like, the quality of them and like the amount of detail and probably just what's on screen is closer to like a 32-bit thing.
Mm,
But the aesthetic is very 16-bit in terms of like how the visuals look.
Yes.
yes.
I just think it's the whole aesthetic of it is wonderful.
Mm.
I love the vibe of I'm a sucker for 16-bit JRPGs, and this has the same camera angle as that, so that
Yes.
Yes.
automatically sells me. I also just like how there's so much customization you can have with your character when you create them. There's
Mhm.
tons of different shirts and hair colors and eye colors and skin colors, and you can do so much, and they allow you to kind of like do whatever you want. If you want to be a boy or a guy who wears a dress, or if you want to be like, you can dress however you want, you can have whatever hair you want. I also really like the visuals of the town and like all the different areas you can go to. There's a
Mm,
beach, there's like a deep woods, there is like the mountain, there's the hot springs are bizarrely
a
not the
desert.
hot springs, the bathhouse or whatever it is kind of awesome. It's also like a public pool, which is kind of goofy.
Yeah.
I really want to know how this town can afford a goddamn like bathhouse. Like there's not enough people to keep that thing running, and it looks like a YMCA inside.
Linus
It's
runs
huge.
it. It's just Linus. Don't
The
question him.
homeless man.
Yeah. Isn't he there a bunch of times? I feel like I always end up seeing him over there. It's
I
Linus.
I love Linus, man. He's one of
Me
my favorites.
too. I wish I could marry him. It's in the game. I feel bad for him in his little hobo tent. I feel like now after all the gifts I give him, like he could afford to like live in a home, but
Maybe he just doesn't want to. Maybe he
yeah,
wants. Maybe he's a
he's
boondocker.
living in the bathhouse. We just don't know it.
Um, yeah, I love Linus was always fun. There's that one emotional scene where it's like that where like Linus is searching through trash cans or whatever. Do you remember? Did you ever come across that while playing?
Yeah, I think I maxed out our friendship because Linus is my favorite character. I think I know which thing you're talking about. Let me see, because it shows you the details of like the. Mm,
Well, he's like eating out of a trash, like he's getting food
yeah.
out of a trash can outside of the saloon, and Gus, the dude who runs the saloon, is like, dude, you don't have to do this. I'll give you food,
Mm,
which is just very very sweet. I like Linus a lot. He just seems like he's very genuine. I love how all the characters in the town, all the different people, all have such distinct personalities.
Hmm.
But they also aren't like too over the top. There's some that fall into
yeah.
specific like tropes, but some of them also don't, which I think is kind of cool. They don't always fall
Mm,
into specific tropes. Uh, and each one has like especially the ones that you can romance, they have really
mm,
interesting stories. So like if you try to romance Shane or become best friends with Shane, you actually get to the bottom of his depression. You
yeah.
learn kind of like what he's going through. If you try to I romanced Leah, like I said, the artist, and that was kind of cool because she talks about having this abusive, I don't think physically, but at least emotionally manipulative ex-boyfriend from the city who never encouraged her for her art, and you're the first one to encourage her in doing her art, and you
Mm.
actually can put on an art show with Leah if you romance her far enough, which was
Aw.
kind of cool.
Hmm.
um I also like that there's that one girl, Maru, who is like
Mm.
she's into science and stuff like that, and her dad, it's funny, I actually in one playthrough I tried romancing her, and then her dad was like, "You're getting pretty close to Maru, huh? Just so you know, I'm very protective of her." I went, "What?"
Oh no.
Like,
So
don't tell my wife I'm romancing this fictitious person.
so it's really funny. Like this is a very like inspired by like Japanese RPGs in a lot of ways, but
Hmm.
it was made by um I think he's American. I assume he's American or at least like North.
Eric Perone is American, yeah.
Okay, it's made by an American developer, and it's really interesting to me because it takes that Japanese look and style, but it has a lot of like American RPG style like elements, like the very in-depth characters and like all of the everybody is super. So in a lot of, I guess the way what I'm trying to say is like in a lot of Japanese RPGs, the characters that are important all have generally will have a fleshed out backstory, but like the unimportant NPCs are just kind of there, like they're the "Hi, welcome to Corneria" kind of characters.
Hmm.
And in this game, like from like I'm obviously not nearly as deep as you guys are into this game because I have like the worst gaming OCD when it comes to these games, and I'm always jumping from game to game. Um, what I did notice playing though is like every character is way more fleshed out than they like have any right to be, and it
Mm,
makes the game so interesting to like just like talk to people every day and just see what they have to say. And it's a cool contrast compared to say like a Harvest Moon or like a Rune Factory or something like that.
mm,
Exactly. And I think that's what ended up kind of selling me in the first place. Like I was saying when I was listening to my buddy's podcast, Two Guys in a Game, he talked about all these people like they had these unique and interesting lives. I'm like, oh, this is a lot more in depth than I'm expecting it to be. I was expecting it just to be a goofy farm sim.
mm.
And while it is a goofy farm sim, but there's a
Yeah.
lot more elements to it. And like the fact that like there's essentially two completely different styles of gameplay. You have the farming half and then you have the combat and mining half.
Mm,
And you would think that those two different styles, like a lot of times when you have a game where you have two different completely different versions of gameplay that a player has to kind of master, they don't always work well together, but in this it does, in my opinion.
mhm.
The example I like to give is like, Bill, have you watched Ego Raptor's like sequelitis videos?
Um, God, it's been forever.
He did one on Ocarina of Time, and one of the criticisms he brought up of Ocarina of Time was how the combat of the exploration part of the game is so different from the combat because like it like they're so dissimilar. Like exploration says, you're running around Hyrule Field and you'll attack a little, you'll roll and you'll climb trees and all this other stuff. But with combat, it turns into a Z targeting thing where you just hold your shield up till the enemy attacks and then you attack. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
they don't quite work in harmony in his opinion. Obviously, I think it does enough, but that's a
Mm,
different conversation for a different day. But in Stardew Valley, I think these two things, while they are different, I do think they actually kind of work in harmony together because the core mechanics of literally just moving and hitting the action button are exactly the same. It's just what you're hitting the action button for is different. Farming, you have to change up your movement patterns. You don't have to do as much twitch reflex. It's more actually about how you strategically plant and water everything to get things done efficiently. Versus in combat, it's all about moving back and forth and kind of playing a little bit of a cat and mouse game with the enemies and running away and dodging and stuff
yeah.
like that. But in
Mm.
general, the core mechanics of moving up, down, left, and right and hitting the X button to do your action is the same. So I think it works a little bit. It works. I should say the core mechanics aren't exactly the same, but the they don't feel like they're part of two separate games. Whereas in
Mm,
Ocarina of Time, the combat is so different from how just regular exploration and movement work.
Mm.
Where these, I feel like they're joined a little bit better.
yeah.
See, like this is where like I'd say like the Minecraft like similarities come from because Minecraft has a very similar system where you can seamlessly switch between like combat and then just like building and like farming and all that sort of stuff just like by scrolling like the wheel on like the mouse or I guess like a button press and like on the console version.
I
Mm,
will say Minecraft is different enough from this just because to even take out the whole first person versus
mm,
like 2D perspective, it's Minecraft's focus isn't necessarily farming and building a
True.
farm. It's more exploration based, where
Hmm.
I would say Stardew Valley, as much as there is exploration in it, its
mm.
focus is definitely not that, because once you explore the mine,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Like you've
Yeah.
gotten to the bottom of it. Now there's another mine you can go to. There's like a cave you can go to once you sweet talk Marge or whatever her face is, Pam, that's it.
Pam.
Uh Pam, once you sweet talk Pam enough, she will like open up the bus to take you back to
The
the other
desert.
half. The desert, exactly, and you can go to a casino there. There's like a mob activity in this small town.
Heck yeah.
It's
It,
wild, man.
there's a new area too. I haven't unlocked it yet, but there's Ginger Island.
Oh, I don't think I've gotten to that part yet.
I
I
I
haven't
haven't
played in
either.
like a year or so. So when I agreed to come on this, I'm like, I'll start this up, but I don't know if I'll get to all the new content they've added. Because since then they've also added like you can play co-op on the
Hmm.
same on like home
Yeah.
console and stuff like that, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah. I need to get Bill to play so he can catch a tuna and then give me the tuna.
It all, it all.
For once, it wasn't me
It's
bringing
all
up the tuna. It
It's
all
No,
been
comes
me a
back to
bunch of
tuna.
times. It all comes back to the freaking tuna and I can't catch it.
I'm gonna have to think of how to incorporate tuna into the title now of this episode.
Just like in the undertext, just be like, it all comes back to tuna.
Yeah, that should just be the name of the episode.
Stardew Valley. No, that doesn't work. Stuna. No, that's awful.
I will
Don't
think-
ignore that one.
I will think of.
tuna.
I will think of something.
I can't
Oh,
wait
man.
to see what you do. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, man.
so that's a new. I haven't explored it either, but it looks like it's an island. There's like a weird little penguin dude guy. I think that's what he looks like. He's a little penguin dude. He's the island trader. I wonder if he has.
That's
tuna
awesome.
there.
No, who's someone we haven't talked about that is within part of the game that we've both played. The creepy dude who lives in the sewer.
No, I love him.
What
He's
are
my
you
best
talking about?
friend. He's my best friend.
What? Why?
I visit
What
him
could
every
he
day.
possibly?
You can buy Krobus. You can buy iridium sprinklers from him. You can buy other random stuff from him. He is great. You can buy void eggs, void essence.
I
make
didn't
a
even know his
random-
name was Krobus.
I love Krobus. You need to befriend Krobus. He's a good guy.
Put respect on Krobus's name.
Yeah. How dare you? Only thing that sucks is that he doesn't sell a tuna, which like really upsets me. I'm looking at his rotating what he sells down there.
Does the
'Cause
traveling cart even sell tuna?
It does. It does.
Okay.
It does. I've looked it up. Trust me. I've looked up where I can get it. I can't get it from Krobus. I can get it in the.
Never in my life did I think the Stardew Valley episode would be this much
Well,
of an
I'm
ending.
so butthurt because I just want to unlock the stupid town hall. I can't. It's like one item.
I was sitting here thinking like, oh, this one will be super professional. Like we're gonna talk about this really awesome game.
What show do you think we do, Bill?
I know.
I really want to know if I can have Amazon gift wrap a can of tuna so I can send it to you.
No, that's mean.
No, even better. Print out a picture of the in-game tuna, like frame it, and then send it.
So first you're bullying me about the tuna, and then you diss my man Krobus. How dare you?
First off, his name was Krobus.
What's
Okay.
wrong with that?
He's
He's
you
a
don't
good
even.
guy. He likes strawberries. I give him to him every day.
Where have we gone?
I just love this defense. Like he likes strawberries.
We're best friends.
Oh my god. Ooh, okay.
Hey, don't diss Krobus. You can get iridium sprinklers from him. That's pretty nice.
That is really nice. Iridium sprinklers are. That's the only reason. That's the only sprinkler worth getting. So,
Exactly.
Bill, I don't know if you actually even got to use any sprinklers in any of your playthrough, but sprinklers are super handy because then you
Yes.
can, they automatically water your crops for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
And so when I first saw one, I was like, yo, this is great. A sprinkler system. Awesome. The first sprinkler just waters the square above it and below it. That's
Yeah.
it. And I'm thinking, what the hell kind of useless sprinklers are these? If there's a sprinkler in real life that only watered like a foot above it and a foot behind it, it's useless. Absolute.
Yes.
Why would you even bother selling it? It's useless.
I don't know.
I hate that. I was so irrationally upset when I wasted my resources to build a sprinkler only to see it only did 2 goddamn squares.
Oh man. It's so funny because like that's like such a gaming thing. Like, because in reality, like if you designed a sprinkler that did that, unless it was like specifically for something, like you would just never sell anything.
I just all I want, like, here's what I was thinking. Baseline sprinkler. The thing is, there's 3 levels of sprinkler, okay? baseline sprinkler, you could have just done the 9 squares around it. Second level sprinkler, do the next round of squares around it. Do the third level of sprinkler, the iridium one, do 3 full squares. That's a huge area, but then at least makes it seem worth it. So like when you, because I believe right now the first sprinkler is just the top 2, and then
Oh,
the
it's like it's basically the 4 squares
does it do all 4
adjacent.
squares? Did I
Yeah,
misremember?
yeah.
Okay. I could have sworn it was just the top 2,
Maybe
like
it was
sorry,
at
the one
some.
above and the. Okay, no, you're right. So the base one does just 4 squares in the cardinal directions. The second level does the full 9 squares around it, and then the iridium does 2 full rows. You know, like one layer around the sprinkler, and then another full layer around that. So it just like I get it, but it just, when you buy a sprinkler and it only hits 4 squares, it's just depressing.
It
You
is.
know, it's
I
just
never used the
depressing.
first ones. I used the quality sprinklers and I used the iridium ones. I never used the regular one because
I
I
didn't
knew
even
it. I
bother.
sensed it was trash and I didn't use
I
it. No.
sensed it was
It was
trash.
trash.
I'm just picturing you going to like a Walmart, going down the sprinkler
And
aisle,
just
excuse
being
me.
like,
You're
bleh.
trash.
Yes,
This is
Well,
a trash
exactly.
brand of sprinkler.
That's what
I
I
was,
do. I pass Bill in my condo and I go, ugh, you're trash.
I was waiting for it, but it's
But
actually funny because we go to the store and like a little off topic here, but like we'll go through the sporting goods aisle and we work for Callaway Golf, and Alex likes to go through there and just turn around all the Titleist boxes just to be petty. And I'm like,
hey, and I don't even golf or anything. It's just funny at this
you're
point.
taking a golf lesson this weekend.
Well, yeah, I'm learning to because I'm like, well, I work in a golf ball factory. I might as well learn how to play. I get like, I might as well. Uh,
You don't have to play golf just because you work in a golf ball factory.
I know I don't have to, but I feel like a lot of people in my coworkers end up doing it, and we have like golf tournaments and stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, might as well learn the basics so like I can at least go and like kind of be sociable.
This is like almost as bad as my like me trying to justify replacing batteries in the GBA during our GBA episode. I remember you and Dave were just like looking at me like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I was like, "I'm like, I don't know what I'm even justifying anymore."
I mean, like, hey, people pick up things they do, to mingle with coworkers, to form those relationships, because then it helps you in the long run. Um, so if I go and play a round of golf and talk to someone, then hey, maybe the next time I need their help, they're gonna help me. So it's helpful. Okay, don't judge me.
There's no judgment here. I'm just saying you don't have to feel obligated to learn golf because you
Bill's
work at a
judging
golf
me.
ball factory.
Bill's
That's not
I
that's
can
not
sense
judging
his
you.
no, I can
I
sense
was
Bill's
just
judgment.
I was just messing with her because she was all like, "I don't like golf," and I'm like, "You're taking a golf lesson this
No, I
weekend."
didn't say I don't like golf. I said it's not even like that. I'm like a golf, like a crazy golf person.
Uh,
All right, you know,
Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley tuna.
Oh
Anyways,
my word.
so
anyways,
I guess now, like any other like things you guys want to discuss, like Josh, you had mentioned like some of your favorite little like things about the game that you wanted to talk about earlier, or have you already gone through a bunch of those?
Went through a bunch of those, but some other ones I can highlight. I like how you can if you turn on the TV, you can check to see like what the weather is going to be
oh
like,
yeah,
and what like, I forget, there's a luck thing. It's like like if you go to like the fortune teller thing, it'll tell you if you're
mm,
lucky or not. Um so I'm trying to remember what exactly the luck does actually signify something. Oh, the fortune teller, apparently their name is Wellwick. I did not know that. Tells the player what their luck will be that day, and the luck, I guess, determines the different stat bonuses for
mm.
uh for the day type of thing. Um, so and it's all minuscule type of stuff. So like if the spirits, for example, if you get a message that the spirits are happy today, you have a plus 0.07 to your luck stat.
Mhm.
Hmm.
stuff like that. I don't and luck affects things like how much. I was like, what does luck even affect? I had no idea. Chance of treasure chests while fishing, also the different types of geode and the geodes you get from the coals, from coal drops, increases the amount of drops that you get, increases the chance to find treasure rooms in the skull cavern, increases the chance that crates spawn in the mines. Uh, so your luck stat really does affect a decent amount. And in fact, there's actually foods you can buy or make, like
Mm,
fried eel helps with your luck a lot.
why
What
not?
another big one, banana pudding increases your mining skill, your stat, your mining stat, your luck stat, and your defense stat.
Is there
So,
anything that increases your fishing stats?
oh, I'm sure.
Anything that makes fishing easier?
There has to be. Hold on. I'm gonna Google it. Stardew Valley foods that increase fishing. That literally is one of the prompts too.
Oh no.
Well, you know
Stardew
what's
Valley.
funny?
Here's an article from thegamer.com. It's the 11 best meals for fishing enthusiasts in Stardew Valley. So there you go. Maple Bar is a
Maple
plus.
bar.
Maple Bar gives a +1 to your fishing buff.
All right.
Chowder gives a +1 to your fishing buff. Dish O' the Sea gives you a +3 to your fishing buff. Here, I'll just go to. I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to go down to the very bottom one. The
Yes,
number one,
the best one.
trout soup. What?
Trout soup.
It just gives you a +1 to fishing buff. All the others were +3. What's
Meh.
this shit? Oh, here's one +4. Seafoam pudding.
Oh,
I don't know. That does not sound
it
appetizing.
does not sound good.
And
All
you
right.
have to catch. It's made from one flounder and one midnight carp.
It's made
and
from stuff I can't even catch.
Oh no.
Who would have?
All right, well, that's not gonna
How
work.
mean is that? Where it's like the fishing buff is attained by
Well,
having to fish, which you're already not good at, which is why you need the fishing buff.
you know what's probably funny is like I bet like the tuna isn't even that hard to catch, and I just suck. I bet that's the real truth.
There is one.
Oh.
There is. You can make fish tacos, but you do need one tuna for it.
God damn it! I guess I'm never making those. Not
Little
for
off
me.
topic. Little off topic. But you know what game has a great fishing mini game?
Sonic.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Really?
Yeah, you can just fish randomly at times, and Goku uses his tail his fake tail because he doesn't have his tail anymore, but he uses that to fish. I spent hours doing that when I was playing that game.
Nice.
I had no idea.
Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up that we hadn't mentioned yet is the festivals. And
Oh yeah.
my favorite festival, which is the luau, because just because of how strange it is, because it's like, all right, it's a big potluck, and we're gonna make this giant vat of soup. And then the governor comes down and he's gonna judge it and taste it, and you can sabotage the soup and make the governor really sick if you put a bad ingredient in it.
Let me guess, you're the troll that does this every time.
If she could, she would put a lot of tuna in it.
If I could, it would just be tuna.
Tuna stew.
It's like, oh, I think what happens is you get a letter in the mail, and I think does it tell you what to bring? No, but he does say be on your best behavior. The governor's coming, and I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. And it's literally there's like a bunch of different responses where it's like, he's either thinks you're missing something, it's great, it's really good, it's okay, it's bad, and then there's the worst one where he just turns green and like vomits. And yeah, it's my favorite town event though because of just how absurd it is that they're just having a party with a giant thing of soup in the middle of it.
I remember the
Also,
first time. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I was also just gonna say, why are they eating soup if it's summer and it's hot out? Who wants to eat soup in the summer?
What I love about it is like the first time it snuck up on me. I wasn't expecting it, and so I got to it, and I'm like, I didn't have anything. I didn't know what to provide for it, so I just looked at what I had in my inventory, And I was like, okay. So I threw some seaweed in. That's all I gave for the potluck. It didn't turn out well.
Oh no! Did he turn green?
I don't remember. It's been a while. That was 5. I mean, that would have happened when I first played it. My wife and I have been married for 5 years now, so it's been 5 years. It's at least 5 years ago.
I'm trying to. Oh.
Honestly, just to kind of, unless you guys had anything else you wanted to bring up before I kind of start wrapping it up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have. Alex did mention some of the other holidays. There is like this like flower festival where you can get
Yeah,
invited to dance. You can ask
yeah.
people to dance, and it's really fucking heartbreaking when they say no. All right, I've
Oh,
been hurt a number of times by asking people to dance, and they're like, no. I'm like, why? Why not? What? You don't even know me. Come on.
It's like you can't even live in like fantasy world because it just becomes real, and you're just like,
it becomes
It's
true
hitting too close to home, man.
oh man, that's
But yeah, no, I think I don't really have. I mean, there's other holidays, but we won't go into detail for all of them. But there's like a winter solstice holiday. There's one with like where a bunch of like I think it's like jellyfish come
Yeah,
underneath
moonlight
the in
jellies.
the ocean. The midnight jellies, that was really cool. Moonlight or whatever, that was really cool. There's a lot of
I like the night market. I
the
like
night
when that
market's really cool.
happens.
Also, the
Yeah.
Halloween thing is really cool.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a what I will say about this to kind of like, because I know we're starting
And
to
there's
wrap
soup.
up here, and there's soup.
Soup.
um I know we're starting to wrap up here, but what I love about this game is how it really does make you feel like you're part of this town. That
Yeah.
it feels like there is this event, and since the game, like the events stay the same every year, which normally I would say, oh, that's so boring, but that's kind of what life is like. You kind of
mm,
end up with the same events generally. In a small town like that, they have their traditions, and it feels like you're experiencing these traditions of this small town, and now you are part of those traditions, and it's really fun. I really like that. I guess the other thing to bring up, we touched on the community center, the Junimos. We didn't even talk about the adorable Junimos who are repairing the community center. They're these tiny little like gumdrop things with like little like stick arms. They look like something out of Spirited Away, the
Oh,
little soot
oh,
monsters.
the
Uh,
little what are they called? Aren't
oh
they called like?
the balls of the balls
Yeah,
of
the
soot
little
when
soot balls. They kind of look like that, but cuter
What
because
are they
I should say
called?
cuter, but less dirty. They're
Junimo. Is
that's
that
what
it?
yeah,
Junimo?
that's what
Yeah.
I called them that already. Yeah,
Oh, you did?
Junimos.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, I love those things so much, and when you complete the community center, it's really cool seeing them celebrate. But then they disappear, and you don't get to see your Junimos anymore,
Aw.
which is really
mm,
sad.
I guess
Uh,
maybe that's a reason to keep my never find
don't eat
this.
the tuna.
I'll
You'll never
see.
see your Junimos again.
Nope.
But I actually have a friend of mine who does crochet, and she has made some Junimos out of like crocheted some
Oh,
Junimos, and they're freaking adorable.
that's so cute.
So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. I think I covered everything I possibly could think of
Yeah,
off the top of my head right now, at least.
I'd say I'd say the same. I'd just say like no more Krobus slander, and if someone can catch a tuna for me, that would be great.
the tuna was a lie. That's all I can say.
No, it's not.
But I guess anyways, to wrap this up now, one thing that I really love about this game is like the fact that like it does so much in such a simple concept,
Mhm.
and like the amount of like just things that you can experience in this game is amazing to me, despite the fact that when you really think about it, it is basically it is one of the simplest concepts. It's basically you got the endless kind of cycle of you wake up, you check the farm, you go explore the town, basically rinse repeat. But the amount of different things that happen just kind of like expanded out, and you realize this is like one of the most fleshed out worlds I think I've
Mm.
ever seen. And the game's longevity and just success, I think, has really like really kind of showed this off, because this game is probably one of the most critically acclaimed games of like this modern era of gaming we're in right now.
Mm.
I'm with you on that. I think it's like it's a small town, but there's so much fleshed out in that small town. There's people who have different, like all the villagers have different schedules. Like you can, if you go to the bar every night, you'll see some villagers like Pam is there every single night.
Yes.
You'll see Shane there every night, and you'll see Alex giving Shane a beer every night. Um,
Wait, it took me a minute because I was like, "There's a character named Alex," and I was like, "Does that happen?" And then I was like, "Wait, that's me."
oh my goodness.
Hey, not every night. He's not there every night. I
Is
don't
there a
think
lot?
so. He's there a lot, but he's not here every night. Hey, if you look up his favorite foods, beer is number one. So
that's an
know
addict,
he knows
Alex.
how-
That's the point.
That's an addict.
That's not
I'm
the
just
point.
trying to be his friend.
You're an
Okay?
enabler.
I give him what he wants. Pam likes beer too. I just give them both a beer.
There's also so Pam, I believe, is Penny's mom, and Penny, I think, is like either the teacher or the librarian or something like. I think she's the teacher,
Yeah.
and Pam also has like there. If you try to romance Penny, apparently you deal with like her relationship with her mom, and it's strained because her mom drinks too much.
Shit.
this game goes to some deep places, man. Like
It's
to
all
bring
my
it back.
fault.
No, it's not your fault.
I'm
Okay,
enabler.
here I'm going to throw myself under the bus. I give Pam beers all the time.
Exactly.
I'm going to take myself off my high horse after what the worst part is like I was joking around about how like, oh, you shouldn't do, Shane's an alcoholic, why are you giving him beer? I mean this completely sincerely. I forgot that my go-to gift for Pam was beer. And I'm like, well, hoisted on my own petard.
It is her drink a beer. Her favorite.
It is her favorite. But no, Bill, you're right. There's just so much depth to this. All the characters have
pina coladas.
Does she take pina coladas?
Yeah, it's in her favorites. It says her favorite.
I didn't even know you could make pina coladas in this game.
I didn't
that just
either,
proves
but now
the depth point that Bill's talking about. Yeah, no,
she
I'm with you,
doesn't
man.
like wild horseradish though. So
how dare he?
How
dare he?
I don't blame her. No,
neither do I. Oh, you said he, so I thought we were talking about someone else, and I just kind of rolled with it. She, okay. Well, no, how dare she? But no, I'm with her.
So, interestingly enough, like to me, like the coolest thing is just how much like success Eric Barone has had going on, and he is actually working on a new game currently.
Yes,
it's
the Haunted Chocolatier.
Yes, it is literally a confectionery store simulation game, which to me sounds amazing because it's such a ridiculous concept.
Can't wait to play it.
Like, I mean, that's not really that ridiculous. There's there are confectioner stores out there, so there's tons of different stores. There is a game called Bear and Breakfast where you play as a bear running a bed and breakfast. So this doesn't sound that crazy to me.
I'm in.
To me, like we've completely gone full circle on these simulation games, like because like one of my favorite games of like either I think it was last year, it might have been this year, was Unpacking, which is literally just unpacking simulator. But
well, that game I've not played it, but I've heard that game has a really good emotional story.
Oh, it does.
Like, tied into the gameplay. I can't wait to actually play it.
I highly recommend it. It is way too deep for what it is, but it is amazing at the same time.
It's good game design, man. Good game design.
I love this era of gaming right now because while everyone's complaining about the AAA games and like how like gaming is like stagnating, I'm sitting here going like the indies are killing it because we have like the most absurd concepts that you would have never thought would have been a game in like a million years, and we're getting them now, and it's amazing, and I love it.
I'm with you. And this game really just shows it. I mean, if you look at like the biggest, most profitable games in the last like 10 years, like Minecraft, it's no longer indie, but it was indie.
Yeah.
And it was so successful. Microsoft bought it. Stardew Valley, a freaking I was about to say Earthbound, but the freaking what is the god damn it, it's that really, what's that RPG that everyone likes with
Undertale.
Undertale, thank you. Why could I not think of that name? Undertale, which is kind of got Earthbound vibes to it from what I've heard. But like some of the most successful, Celeste. There's so
Mm.
many successful indie games out there now, and it's awesome to see. And Stardew Valley, man, it will always mean a lot to me. Like I said at the beginning, how it helped my wife and I kind of stay sane throughout all the planning for our wedding. And actually, after I started it back up for this episode, I played it a bit last night. My wife was like, I should really start that up again. So
Hmm.
she might start playing again too after, when the kids sleep and at nighttime. So I'm I love this game. I think it, and the funny thing is, I'm not a big like simulation game fan. Like I don't like I played Animal Crossing and it, I enjoyed it for a little while, but I enjoyed the community aspect of it more than I enjoyed the game.
Mhm.
Uh, and this was New Horizons, which from what I've heard is like the most user friendly out of all of
Hmm.
them.
Mm.
And this game just really did it for me. I really do love playing this game. I love how much you can do, all the different ways you can design your farm, all the different things you can make. There's like 7 different types of beer you can make and shit like that.
Hell
It's
yeah!
wild. It's a and then we can give it to Shane and Pam. Enablers.
Exactly.
But anyway, no, I love this game, and I'm so happy I got to be on the show to talk about it.
Oh yeah. And one final point I would like to point out. This is just kind of an observation of mine. This game's success actually kind of kicked Marvelous into like really getting back on track with Story of Seasons, because the most recent Story of Seasons game that wasn't a remake was Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town.
Mhm.
That game was a breath of fresh air, and it
I
really
love
brought
that game.
the series back to like a point where I was like, this is the series I remembered. Like this brought me back to like A Wonderful Life, Friends from Mineral Town, like the classics of back in the day that the later games kind of lost. And I feel like Stardew Valley's success really pushed them to do better in a lot of ways, if that makes sense.
Hmm. I could totally see that. I could totally see that.
Mm. So yeah, I this was an awesome discussion, and Josh, I'd like you to plug your stuff once again if you'd like.
Oh yeah, sure. I guess I didn't really do that much plugging in the beginning. So my podcast is the Still Loading podcast. You can find it wherever good podcasts are given away for free. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. I do. I kind of call it a gaming grab bag podcast where I do a variety of different retro gaming and modern gaming topics. So I do stuff. I do gaming retrospectives, which Bill has actually been on 2 different ones so far, one for Final Fantasy VIII and one for Pokemon Gen 1. Um, so I do stuff like that, but then I also do I do interviews and I do just kind of all over the place. But interviews, I've actually here's actually a little sneak peek for your listeners. When's this coming out again, Bill?
This one should be out May. Um, Sorry, one sec. I had it and I literally just forgot it.
No, you're
Uh,
good.
Eh.
it should be out on May 13th.
Perfect. Then your listeners will get a sneak peek of this. I actually had on. It'll be out on my free feed on May 21st. So I guess like a little over a week after this one drops. I had on Ian James Corlett, the voice actor, who is the original Goku from the anime.
He is
Uh,
also the current Moroku in Inuyasha.
yes, he is.
Oh, awesome.
And he also, germane to my listeners, I've been doing a rewatch series on the shitty Captain N cartoon, where once a month I devote an entire episode of my podcast to a single episode of that show. And he voices Dr. Wily in that. And he was also the voice of the original Mega Man from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been around the block. So I had him on the show, and so it's a little sneak peek for your listeners. I do interviews with people like that periodically, not all the time. And the last thing I'll shout out for my own show is I have stranger ideas. Like I did an episode a couple years ago called Still Loading Storytime, where I had me and a bunch of friends do dramatic readings of video game manuals. And
that one was amazing.
that such a wild idea. And then of course the Final Fantasy draft, which is what happens when you take Final Fantasy and fantasy sports and mash them together and you get the Final Fantasy draft. So yeah, that's still loading. I kind of do a whole bunch of stuff, and you can follow me at Still Loading Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, at Still Loading Pod on Twitch, and at Still Loading Podcast on YouTube. So yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, no
Yeah.
worries, dude. I did want to plug too, like your interviews in particular have been like phenomenal. Like the Gary Chalk interview was amazing.
Oh,
I
thanks,
l-
man.
I love the David K interview just because I'm a huge Inuyasha fan. So it was like you're talking to Sashomaru there for a while, which
Mhm.
was that whole those episodes are so phenomenal. And I mean, I've told you before, and I always want to point it out, like you were one of my biggest inspirations for starting this show, and like I'm just glad like we could finally have you on and just kind of like go full circle here now in that kind of way.
That thank you so much, man. That really means a lot. I legitimately don't know why I inspired anyone to podcast, but I'm happy that I did, because my show's just me bullshitting for, well, I shouldn't say bullshit. I do put effort into it, but it's still like, it it's one of those things where it's like you hear I'm bad at taking compliments. I'll just leave it at that. I'm bad at taking compliments. So thank you. That means a lot.
No worries, dude. But once again, guys, thanks for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. The Gaming and Collecting Podcast can be found on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. We are made on Spotify for podcasters. Anchor is dead. And
R.I.P.
Yep. And you can follow us on all the social media. Our link tree is linktree/the Barbecue Games. And you can also join our Discord server, which we had recently launched. Alex posts a lot of curse shit over there, and there's a lot of anime gifs. It's kind of a madhouse over there. But once again, guys, thanks for joining us, and we will see you all next time.
And if anyone can help me catch a tuna, please, I'm begging you. I just want my town hall.
Good night, everybody.